let's go to this last story. Now, this last story is actually about the equity bill. It's a little bit like what's happening at the moment. Even if you are a supporter of the change in the bill, or even if you're someone who is minimizing they haven't cancelled anything. It's the same argument, right, as the three white men who were pro the treaty principles. They're not changing a single word in the treaty. Show me the word they're changing. Yeah, but they're changing exactly how you interpret the words that are there. It's the same sort of argument. So there's this show on the interwebs. I think it's on a Monday night. I'm not 100% sure. Ironically, because predominantly Christian groups are very concerned about males showing empathy and being accused of being gay. They've called it straight talk because it's got to be straight talk.
Oh, so lame.
From Straight Families First. This is run by Bob McCoskrie of Straight Families First. And I want to just play you this. I've only got about 4 clips. They're only like 30 seconds each, so don't run away, people. And I wanted to first show you a question that Bob asked, because it's very, very clear that Bob has a narrative that he wants his, whatever word you want to put in there, alt-right, right, conservative, Christofascist, Christian, whatever word you want to use. He wants them to suit his narrative. And I'll show you why, because this is a question he asked in the middle of a conversation from this lady here, who we're going to play her a bit of her comments later. But she'd basically said the government did the wrong thing. And this was the response from Bob McCoskrie from Straight Family First.
Okay. Are you saying, though, that if you get on a plane, that the pilot, whether they're male or female, should be getting paid the same as the air hostess, whether they're male or female?
Oh.
You're not
It's said no person anywhere ever.
saying that, are you?
So lame.
But you can see, right, that's his narrative, right? That's the narrative that he wants to put out there, that this is all a big storm in a teacup. And of course, you shouldn't compare a librarian to an engineer. Oh, yeah, that's ridiculous and da-da-da-da-da. So the first person we're going to hear from is a doctor, Ata Moala, I think she is, the Zionist in the bottom right-hand corner. I'm not using that as a pejorative, by the way, because she's obviously, that's what she claims to be from the looks of the flag behind her. So these are all these people who are in this conservative world. And all of them, even Peter Williams up the top, are like, the government has done this wrong. This is going to stick to the government. This is going to hurt the government. So what I'm trying to show you is when you lose these guys, you really have lost the battle.
The women have always been paid less throughout the age. And, in health, for example, our nurses have always been paid and have never been paid properly. And of course, that's why we lose so many of our very experienced nurses they leave the nursing workforce and they go elsewhere. Either they go to Australia or they go and find another career. And it's the same with midwives and of course our teachers. Terrible, when we think that they've got the most important job in helping our kids.
No disagreements, Chewie? No disagreements so far. And then comes to the point about, do we agree with the legislation?
And a majority of our teachers are women. So yes, they're never, the women have always not been paid properly. Definitely not support this move of government. But of course, the question is whether people is going to desert the right, the national.
So definitely doesn't support the legislation. Question is, will they desert national? This is Simon O'Connor, right? He is a former National Party MP. Again, his commentary about this legislation and what it's doing to the right now, how it's sticking.
All they know is that the government, it wasn't, not to be blunt, Bob, it wasn't 36 hours, it was in 12 hours, they rammed through a law to take money off the poorest, most vulnerable women in our society. This could be...
I see your look, Chewie. Do you see what I'm saying? If you've lost these guys, you've lost the war.
Be a make or break. We'll find out in 18 months.
Can I just clarify that?
So you hear you can still hear in this question, he's trying to paint a narrative. This isn't going well for the narrative that Bob first wanted out of this thing. The stuttering, the stammering. If you don't know Bob, he runs a group called Straight Families First. Just remember that.
Can I just clarify that? What do you mean by taking money off women?
For a lot of people, they will see that there were
When you ask that question, because you're wanting a different narrative to be paid, you have to be aware that you might not get back the narrative that you're looking for, a la Nicole McKee and the gun registry.
For a lot of people, they will see that there were claims, and there were 33 claims before the courts to increase the income for women who are cleaners, nurses, care assistants. That's just been ended. And so the general narrative is that the poorer paid people in society just lost out on money and cash. David Seymour gleefully said that, he and the minister had saved the budget.
Yeah. I'll give you another one. This is even Peter Williams. This is only 16 seconds. Even Peter Williams agrees, and he is an official cooker now. We'll play one clip at the end to show you that.
Oh yeah.
Even he goes he's been lost on the way they've done it. He goes for a 6-minute tirade after this clip about women's pay. This is a ridiculous conversation, but still he's agreeing that this government has tarnished themselves with a bad brush.
Well, as an exercise in political communication, it was an absolute disaster. Absolute disaster. They could not have done it worse. They should not have pushed it through under urgency. They should have gone to a select committee to at least discuss the issue.
And this last guy up the top right, I'm not entirely sure who he is, Brendan someone. He runs like a pro-life, anti-choice group sort of thing. Only 15 seconds on him as well.
There's a whole lot going on here. First of all, there's the fact that the government just rammed this through under urgency. I don't think that's justified. It was a cynical move, and I have big concerns about that. If your case is sound, make your case. And they've only really hurt themselves ultimately, even if their case is sound here.
All of them.
Wow.
All of them on this kind of far right, conservative, Christofascist, Christian, whatever word fits in there for whichever one of those Zionists, whichever one that fits in there. All of them say that this is a huge mistake by the government. They're not quite saying the idea is a mistake, but how they've done it is a mistake. And it just goes to show the idiocy of that show run by a guy called Bob, who runs a group called Straight Families First. Because none of them got to the point of why did they ram it through. And the only reason they rammed it through was they needed to plug holes for the upcoming budget, for giving money away to landlords and tax cuts. They never quite made it to that. But I'll still say, Chewie, when you lose all of them, this is a really bad look. If the left can keep this conversation going for the next 12 months, it won't be as big, but it'll be on that same kind of Venn diagram as the Republican Supreme Court taking away a woman's right to choose. They can keep it going because at the moment, all of them who are commenting are saying with one voice, the government did this dirty, which is a really interesting observation, Chewie.
Well, I feel conflicted. I don't think I'm ready to welcome these comrades with open arms, but I'm glad to see them here on this particular issue at this particular time.
Yeah, but in fairness, you didn't hear the other 5 minutes each of them spoke about, airline pilots versus janitors. You didn't hear that. So I'm not going so far as to them all saying that they agree with the idea of equal pay being an issue, but this perception, because it's a reality, the narrative that they're talking about, because it's the truth of this government ripping money away from the most vulnerable women, has stuck, is damaging, and with one voice, people are saying they're either saying this is bad, or they're saying this is a bad look, or they're saying this is a bad way it's been done. But the word bad is associated with everybody, Chewie.
It's almost like this government might be a bunch of shady assholes. People are
they're not very good at this. Is it because they're not very good at this?
They're not very good at this. But look, what I would say to you is this. Certainly in the last couple of weeks, there are several issues that we have talked about on BHN, either amongst you and iPat or with some of our learned guests, where we said that where things were going weeks, months before it happened.
Yeah.
Like there's articles today saying that there's more operations going out to private healthcare providers, and that doctors and nurses were going to be doing extra hours to clear the backlog. In that story, it said exactly what Gary Pender said, that the private guys were cherry picking their way through the easiest cases, and the rest would be done by the doctors and nurses that are having to fight for every penny of their paycheck.
Yeah.
All of this, I am terrified to see what we are right about and what Craig is right about in the upcoming budget.
Yes. Yes. I think
I'm sick of being right. What did I call myself one day? Oh, Nostradamus.
Nostradamus.
Like,
that's a good t-shirt.
We shouldn't have the hit rate that we do.
Yeah.
Because we are two dumbasses at the bottom of the South Island with some opinions that need to come out, otherwise we explode. By rights, our hit rate should be worse than this, and there should be people clipping us and go, look what these dickheads said. They're so wrong.
We're
Hasn't
just
happened.
couple of Dunedin rodeo clowns. Yeehaw. Yeah. Yeah, the thing about that is,
just carry on with my life.
It's just so obvious. That's why. I mean, it's so obvious that if you empty your coffers, like we talked about the government emptying its coffers, landlords, tax cuts, big tobacco, et cetera, giving all the money away, going, if there's no issues, like if there's no cyclone or there's no world event, they might sneak through and it might look okay. Guess what? Trump fucked you. Fucked you hard. And because of him, your coffers being empty are actually impacting the rest of us. So I'm sorry, Nikki No Boats. You don't get to go there and go, world events, it happens, but we have to deal with it. Because the truth is, let's go back to Michael Cullen, shall we? Sir Michael Cullen typically ran surpluses. Almost accidentally ran surpluses, but had money there should there be something going wrong. Running it close to the bone or under, if you need an unknown cost that comes up, like an orangutan in the White House, then you're screwed. And guess what? You're screwed. Then you have to start stealing money from, as Simon O'Connor said, the most vulnerable women workers in the country. And if you want to challenge me on that, anyone, go see David Seymour first, who said, we saved the budget, meaning we just found the money to plug the gaps. Oh, that's interesting. When did you find the money? After we made changes to the Equal Pay Act. Oh, that's interesting. Who will that impact? The most vulnerable working women. Go on, challenge me. I dare you.